Hello and welcome everyone, a new episode of Money Means Business. Today we are going to tackle together the Egyptian participation in the annual meetings of the IMF, or the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, which are taking place in Washington. There is such a big delegation of Egypt participating in the meetings, headed by their Excellencies Minister of Finance Ahmed Kujuk and Minister of International Cooperation Dr. Rania Al-Mashat. We are going to know more about their participation, about their meetings on the sidelines of the important gathering, and to make sure that Egypt is not only represented in the meetings but also getting the maximum benefit from meeting with top executives, high-ranking officials, and to say a message to the whole world. The Egyptian economy is resilient and we are enjoying a stable economy, and this is not our vision. This is the vision by international or big international economic organizations like Moody, like S&P, as our rates are getting higher a day after the other. Right after this, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.
According to Minister of Planning, Economic Development and International Cooperation, Rania Al-Mashat, Egypt's economy is poised for a major shift in 2026, driven by industrial expansion, rising exports, and continued growth in tourism and telecommunications. Speaking to Bloomberg on the sidelines of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF World Bank Group annual meetings, which kicked off on Monday, Al-Mashat said the government expects real contributions from the real economy next year, supported by remittances and a surge in foreign investment. An Egyptian delegation chaired by the governor of the Central Bank of Egypt, the CBE, is attending the IMF World Bank meetings in Washington through 18th of October. Al-Mashat highlighted Egypt's newly launched narrative for economic development, which identifies priority sectors for attracting foreign direct investment. She said the strategy builds on the country's robust infrastructure developed in recent years to support manufacturing and exports. The minister noted that Egypt responded flexibly to reduced traffic in the Suez Canal caused by regional instability by launching a new wave of economic reforms in March 2024. These included fiscal consolidation, monetary tightening, a flexible exchange rate regime, and a cap on public investment. As a result, GDP growth reached 4.4% by the end of June and 5% in the final quarter. Al-Mashat said growth was driven by a model focused on industrial output and tradable sectors, with reforms boosting competitiveness and private sector participation. She added that Egypt continues to implement a structural reform program aimed at unlocking new investment and accelerating production. Commenting on the Sharm el-Sheikh Summit for Peace held on Monday, Al-Mashat described it as a crucial day, not just for the region, but for the world. She said a sustainable settlement in Gaza would restore calm and allow shipping traffic through the Suez Canal to resume fully, an outcome that would benefit Egypt and reduce global trade costs. Al-Mashat also welcomed S&P Global Ratings' recent upgrade of Egypt's sovereign credit rating, calling it a sign that reforms are on the right track. She said that there are significant growth opportunities if implementing reforms was continued, adding that Egypt remains committed to opening the economy, boosting competition, and overcoming past challenges. The minister pointed to strong investment flows into the Suez Canal economic zone, including new capital and joint ventures, as evidence of growing investor confidence. She also reaffirmed Egypt's engagement with the IMF and its partnerships with the European Union and the World Bank to support its ambitious reform agenda. Al-Mashat expressed optimism that the outcomes of Sharm el-Sheikh Summit would benefit Egypt's economy and enhance returns for investors.
Welcome back, and before we start, let me first welcome my dear guest live here in the studio, Engineer Mostafa Nagary, our economic expert of our episode of Money Means Business. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
It's a pleasure, Nimi. Thank you.
And we are going to start immediately with some of the statements which were released by Her Excellency Dr. Rania Al-Mashat regarding the coming year. And when she said that 2026 is going to mark a turning point in the Egyptian economy with a number of factors. But let me first know from you, or know your vision regarding this statement. 2026 is going to be a turning point in our economy.
Well, as we have seen in the last 2 years, and we have been meeting before, I think that Egypt have achieved a considerable economical growth, which was indicated, as you mentioned, not even locally, but by the international, either IDM or IDF or the Fitch openers last 2 weeks. So I think there is indicators of the economy which everybody have to follow and have to analyze and try to understand, if we can start to talk about that. So these indicators, the economical indicators, if we can call them, they are the main factors to try to evaluate the country economy, any country economy. So I think that we have a very good indicators regarding either the GDP or regarding the interest rate, the monetary policy, the inflation rate. All of them have been showing an increase and the development. So that's why we believe that the economy is standing on a solid pillars, if we can say. So we have mentioned that before, that 2025 will be better, and now we are talking about 2026.
2026 to mark a turning point. The
Correct.
term turning point is very much encouraging and challenging in the same time.
Correct.
And if you permit me, sir, there are dates or there are years which can be considered as turning point. For example, 2016 with the start of our harsh economic reform.
Yeah.
And in 2025 we started the narrative of our economic development. Tell me more about this and how we can connect them together to reach Egypt 2030, because Egypt 2030 is not that far anymore. And the implementation of the sustainable development goals via the resilience of our economy are tangible steps on the ground. If you want to elaborate on that.
We have been talking a lot about the competitiveness of the economical environment of Egypt. And we know that in the last 2 years, we can tell that the cooperation between Egypt and the IMF have showed a successful steps regarding that. And this is what I'm calling, you have to look for the indicators. So if you are going to look for the inflation, so it have decreased, and now we are about 12%, which is still high, but
in comparison with the previous numbers.
Yeah.
But sir, if you permit me, I'd like to focus on something else, because in the statements which were released by Her Excellency Dr. Al-Mashat, she said that the launch of the narrative of the economic development depend on the infrastructure which we really developed and the expansion of our industrial sectors. How do you see these
This is the reasons. This is the reasons.
The reasons. Have we succeeded as a country or as a state to implement this on the ground and to achieve these goals to reach this point?
Everybody is talking about increasing the efficiency of the infrastructure, either in the roads and the services, or even in the legislations and laws. So the country was going into parallel channels, if we can say. So of course we are seeing all of that there is a big mega projects which have been we talked about it before, and now most of the sectors are achieving a big increase either in the production or in the added value, at the end, the revenues are getting higher and higher. And you can see that from the exports. So there is reasons and there is tools which the country have taken
Reasons
and tried.
and tools. And this is exactly what I wanted to reach, because when I see Their Excellencies Dr. Al-Mashat and Dr. Kojuk going there to Washington to participate in these meetings, carrying out this agenda of achievements.
Correct.
To what extent these are messages sent to the whole world, because this is an international meeting where they are going to meet top executives from all over the world. How do you see taking these agendas to pave the way for more foreign direct investment, for signing new deals or protocols of cooperation, and for making this kind of marketing or propaganda for such places or regions like, for example, the Suez Canal Economic Zone?
Let me tell you that the IMF itself indicated that the growth rate in Egypt had reached 4.5% in the third quarter of 24-25. We have to remind that they also have indicated earlier that it will be 4.1. So which means that we are happy that the IMF itself, or Fitch, as I said, that they mentioned that Egypt have climbed 5 places in the last quarter of the year. So these indicators, if we can say, always giving the positive reality about the economical growth. What Her Excellency Al-Mashat is saying for 2026 is based on a strategic view about the economical environment of Egypt and the competitiveness according to what we see.
Let's go deeper into more details. Talking, for example, about flexibility, about the tax rules, about the customs rules, about our cooperation with our allies from all over the world and diversifying our economic relations. We are not depending on the West, we are not depending on the East. We do have this balanced relations.
We have always said that Egypt is on the same distance between all the economical blocks in the whole world. And we see that there is still trade complex at the time being between China and between US, and every day there is something new in the geopolitics around the whole world. But we, despite of that, Egypt have been moving, and we always have to measure the competitiveness rate of our country. It goes with the infrastructure, it goes with the cost of power, it goes with the cost of labor, it goes with the cost of efficiency, with the services, with the ports efficiency.
And with looking at negligence as a kind of corruption, bureaucracy as a kind of corruption. And this is the thing, I think, which is now attracting more foreign direct investment with the digital platforms, with the digitalization of our economy, with making sure that all these procedures which used to take months before, just in no time.
We cannot be away from what is happening everywhere. So even yesterday I was invited in the Ministry of Investment regarding the new platform which Egypt is going to announce for it, and it's very crystal clear, as we say, that with the cost of every step you do in trade, or with the number of steps that they are trying to minimize. So everybody is trying at the end to close this routine, if we can say, and try to minimize the cost.
And here we should say not only a big thank you, we should appreciate the efforts exerted to have this kind of very fruitful cooperation between the Ministry of IT, the Ministry of Communication, and the Ministries of Investments, of Industry, of International Cooperation, to make sure that these platforms are going to work on the spot.
A lot. I mean, now you cannot export or import. You have a window and you have a platform which you have to apply, and everything goes smoothly. We are looking for more and more advanced IT programs that the exporters or importers can print or issue the documents from their offices, not needed to be linked with the government. It should be linked, but everyone should have a code or something, and you can move your business from your office. This would save a lot of money and a lot of time. But we are going step by step. Furthermore, I think that Egypt is a good player, if we can say. It's not a big player, but it is a good player in the whole world trade
We are strategic
organization.
players
Yeah.
according to our location and our position
As
in
we
the
mentioned.
Arab, Islamic,
Of
Mediterranean,
course, we have a lot of
African
agreements, we have a lot of
arenas.
trade agreements, but also we have to remember that the whole world is trying to remap the industry hubs and trying to come closer more and more to the markets. And we have to talk about that because we have seen before
Go ahead.
the supply chain obstacles in certain times. It was a big problem for everybody. But now everybody is trying to move the industry to centralized areas or to close area closer to the markets. So that's why Egypt also is benefiting from that. And we have been always talking about that, and that's why
Because there was
a big improvement
global
in the
crisis
infrastructure.
after the Russian-Ukrainian war, which unfortunately lasted for 3 years now,
So
or maybe more
let
than
me
that.
tell you.
So it was a global issue. It's not an Egyptian issue. But if you permit me, sir, I wanted to focus on what you have just said, because this is a very important issue regarding some of the statements also which was released by Her Excellency Dr. Mashat, when she spoke about the flexibility, or Egypt or the state is very realistic facing challenges. And she said it just like that. Egypt responded flexibly to reduce the traffic in the Suez Canal, meaning that we admitted that due to the situation which, the chaotic situation which took place in the last 2 years in the Middle East region, caused by regional instability, by launching new wave of economic reforms in March 2024. How do you see this point in specific, sir?
We all remember that it was a big problem for the supply chain, if we can mention that, because we know that through the Suez Canal, about 20% of the world trade move. Okay, so this is a very important leg, if we can say, in the international trade.
Yeah.
And of course, Egypt were affected a lot by these geopolitical problems and crises, and we have restructured the movement and upgraded all the ports in the Mediterranean and in the Red Sea, and tried to decrease the time of cargo release, if we can say, in these ports. And they tried now to be attractive. We have to remember that in 2015-16, about 8 mega shipping lines have moved from Egypt, according to some logistical problems, if we can say, but now they are back. Okay, so I think that if we say that the environment is attractive, and this is according to the flexibility which Her Excellency talked about, that everybody was trying to absorb the cause of the geopolitical crisis. It's not only in the Red Sea. It's the geopolitical crises are surrounding Egypt from east and west and south and north. But
God,
at the end,
we
the
all
country,
hope that,
the
inshallah,
country
the outcomes of Sharm el-Sheikh
exports
summit
at the end,
are going to be tangible on the ground
we
as
have
soon
to
as
look
possible.
for some indicators, if we can say, because this is the reality. I mean, the foreign currency reserve in the Central Bank of Egypt is increasing. They are now having indicator of monthly basis, okay? Inflation is decreasing on the other side. The unemployment rate is decreasing. It's now about 6.1, while last year it was 8+. So these indicators, the stability of the exchange rate of the Egyptian currency against the dollar. It was stable, and now it is +4. So this is giving stability for the investors to come. And as we mentioned, that the government, the cabinet, have a slogan for that: invest is for production and export at the end. So the three pillars are connected to each other. So we are seeing now a lot of investors are coming in several fields. In the textile sector, it is increasing.
But we need more.
We need more, of course.
We need more.
Of course. But don't forget that one of the mega crises started in 2011. It was because of the textile sector. So it was in the worst case, and the laborers were not even getting the wages. Now we are talking about that this is one of the most important and attractive sectors in the industry.
Having potentials, and we do have a lot to speak about when it comes to expanding the heavy industries.
Correct.
Because heavy industries means thousands, or no, not thousands,
Millions,
tens
millions
of thousands of job
yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah.
But sir, I'd like, if you permit me, to focus a little bit on that, because really Dr. Badr Abdelati, our foreign minister, is leading economic diplomacy
Correct.
in a way that's unprecedented.
Yeah.
And since you mentioned, for example, or we mentioned the Suez Canal Economic Zone, which was mentioned also in the speeches of both Dr. Al-Mashat and Dr. Kujuk, 2 days ago, just a couple of days ago, Foreign Minister Badr Abdelati was in India, and he had a number of meetings, whether with Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, or the business community there, or the Egyptian community there, and he really urged the Indian mega companies to come and to have their own industrial zones in the Suez Canal, as we do have the Russian industrial zone there, the Chinese industrial zone there, and it's going to be a win-win situation for both. How do you see these moves, sir?
1 week before, His Excellency Dr. Badr Abdelati was in the AmCham here in Cairo, and was doing the same message for the American investors. I believe that most of the ministers are having the same feeling as Her Excellency Rania Al-Mashat have, and they are all have a very positive feeling and view about the economy of Egypt. So they are talking with the same message and trying to
but each according to his or her speciality.
But at the end, it is the same message. You can hear it from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, you can hear it from the Minister of Agriculture, you can hear it from the Minister of Industry and the Transport. All of them are having, because these sectors are the main pillars of the country. At the
message here, sir, I want to focus on our top executives, each on his or her speciality. They are giving the same message, but they are also committed to the promises they are giving to the foreign investors.
Of course.
And when I mentioned, for example, Dr. Badr Abdelati, because today he was with the Maldives, his Maldives counterparts, to continue with that. And Dr. Kujuk spoke about the fiscal reforms. Dr. Rania Al-Mashat spoke about the fruitful cooperation with the IMF and the World Bank, because she is our governor there. How do you see this chain or the series of meetings, and each top executive is building on the achievements or on the statements of the other, to make sure that it's a whole symphony, or we are all in harmony?
No, there is a strategy for Egypt, and everybody knows his role in this strategy. So I think that we have been always saying that the ministers are working in isolated islands or something like that. I cannot say it's finished 100%, but at the end they are trying to cooperate together, and you can hear the same tone about the economy, about the development, about trying to attract the investors. It's a strategy for the country, Nermeen. So I don't see that we can hear something
contradictory.
No, all of them are having a job.
Playing the same note.
And they are playing on the same note. And on the other side, they are trying to combine together. So we can see that even if we talk about agriculture, you cannot improve or you cannot reclaim more lands while you are not in connect with the Ministry of Irrigation and Water Resources, or while you are not connected with the Ministry of Electricity or power supply. it's impossible, because, you know, as we mentioned always, that if you want to go in a sector, you have to be, you are connected to with whom, what is the authorities which you are going to deal with, and who is going to facilitate your work at the end. So I think that all of them is playing now a very good harmony. We all have this feeling that 2026 would be a very good year.
Inshallah.
Increase, the exports have increased about 17% only on 3 quarters compared to last year. So this is figures
So
and
are
the
you
indicators.
satisfied with the numbers?
Sorry?
Are you satisfied with the numbers?
We always say that we can do better. We always say that we can do better.
No, I mean
and
the
it
numbers
goes-
or statistics in this specific period of
Let me
time.
tell you something. The indicators, if we started with the indicators, that the figures have to be understood and have to be analyzed. This is very important. And I believe that the connection between the private sector and the government is very important for such analyzing, because if you don't have a correct and efficient analyzing of the figures, you may go in a different
And because of this, I'm
routes.
asking,
Yeah.
when I'm talking about some statistics or some numbers, I'm not talking about them generally. I mean, are you satisfied with the statistics or numbers in this period of time? I mean, for the
We
past
can do
10
better.
years,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
example,
yeah.
starting November 2016 to November 2026. How do you see this taking or bearing into
Oh, but
consideration
don't
that we
forget-
passed it through COVID-19, we
I
passed
know,
it
I
through
know.
the
I know.
struggles
We have
or the
overcome
conflicts?
that, okay? We can just try to analyze what happened in 2024, 2025, and now we are, but before it was a big problem, although the country was moving and we didn't collapse. We remember that in certain time the inflation was 35%. Now we are talking about 12. So it's a very big difference. But now we started to be on the right road, or the correct road, if we can say. But we believe always that Egypt can do better by 2 ways: increase the production and the added value of the product, because we still evaluate the export unit of our products, and it's still lower than our competitors. We can upgrade that and we can increase. So to reach $100 billion of exports, or 140, it would not go only by the size of production. It goes only by the value of the production, the revenue at the end. I always focus on the revenue.
Sure.
Okay?
Sir, also, I'd like to focus on a relatively new term, and to make it easier for our viewers to understand it. Her Excellency, Dr. Rania Al-Mashat, said Egypt has outlined its new economic reform program, Egypt Narrative for Economic Development, which focuses on the real economy. The real economy and, of course, empowering the private sector. We know all about empowering the private sector, but what about real economy?
The real economy is based on the production at the end. It is just one word, because we remember that before that there was, as we said, in a certain times, Egypt was trying to attract, if I'm allowed to say, some hot money came to the country. And this was giving the indication and about the statistics and so on, which is not the real economy. So if we talk now about the real economy, and we are able to talk about that, that it goes for the production at the end. You have to produce more. If you produce more, you will...
And do we have challenges in front, or obstacles in front of
All
us?
the countries have a challenge.
No, I mean
yeah.
certain obstacles which we should work on to try to continue with the right path of more production, of added value or added quality to our products?
I can say that His Excellency Minister of Industry and Transport have moved a lot in the industrial zones. He have offered a lot. They are trying to merge with developers or a private sector, either international or national private sector to try to develop and to deliver more industrial areas. I think that we still need more in this fight.
regard.
Of course, we still need, because there is a lot of inquiries coming from investors abroad, and they need much more land, and according to the system, the offered area is not that big. So it should be moving more and more. We are as we say, in a conflict with the time, because we have a very good chance. But at the end, we see that whatever offered from in the industrial zones is already picked up. And now it is not like the old story that some people, they just hold some lands to try to sell it with a higher, no. Everybody is producing. One of the big files for the Minister of Industry is the blocked factories, or the closed factories, if you can say. Because it's still, the numbers are, it's not, some people they say it is 12,000, some people they talk about 16,000. At the end, this should be linked to the production.
But these numbers are very much decreasing, and we are witnessing the return of the factories which were once very famous, and they are returning back to the market.
The reasons are different of these
This
factories.
is going to take me to the SMEs and to the importance of SMEs, because SMEs are all the time mentioned in all the statements released by our top executives.
Everywhere, all over the world. Because as before, we always say that there was two wings of the economy in any country. It was the government and the private sector. And both of them were supposed to offer job opportunities, or to open channels for the graduates and the people to work. And I think that both of them are not able anymore to try to provide that. The governments have to pump a lot of investments. Private sectors have to attract more investors to come and to merge, or to try to increase their production. That's why the SMEs was the third channel, if we can say, which can offer more and more job opportunities, and can try to give an added value to the nation economy, if we can say. And this is not only in Egypt, in the whole world. It's
Should we focus on certain sectors with our SMEs? I mean, it's agriculture, it's
agriculture is, of course, one of that. The food industries is one of that. The automotive is also one of that, because it's feeding industries, okay? But if you can try to do it in a uniform program, I think it would help. Also the textile as well, okay? In all the sectors there is SMEs. There is in the furniture there is SMEs, okay? In the industrial engineering there is SMEs. They are always there, and that's why they are trying to attract them to work under the umbrella of the tax department, to try to be, you know, a sort of uniform economy, if we can say. So,
sir, just a few minutes ago, when we were speaking about the journey of His Excellency Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati to India, you said that just before that he was in a meeting with
the American Chamber, Egyptian American Chamber.
Okay. Why I'm saying that this is a series, or it's the domino effect. We are building on what was achieved before. The statements which were released by His Excellency Minister of Finance, Dr. Ahmed Kujuk, it was at the American Chamber of Commerce on the sidelines of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank meetings in Washington, meaning what was taking place here was taken into consideration and was in the agenda of talks, and Dr. Kujuk took all the items with him to speak in more details there in Washington with the business economy there. And I'm going now to say some of his statements or his notes. The Egyptian economy is growing at a steady and encouraging pace, with robust and diverse private sector activity taking place in an increasingly competitive business environment.
This is
Sir.
what I mentioned. It is the same word. There is key words in the economy nowadays, which is the environment, the competitiveness, the stability of the political status in the country. We have, of course, to mention what happened last week in the agreement for Gaza. In Sharm el-Sheikh, and it was Egypt have played a very strong role in that.
Too.
So that's why this doesn't come according to our location or something. It goes also about our economy, because if we mention that the economy always give you a potential in the politics and with the economy, both of them. It's two sides of the coin at the time being in the whole world. You remember before we mentioned that even if there is political problems between two countries, but the trade goes on. But now not anymore. It is you have to work
and
both political and economy
factor,
together. And Egypt have succeeded to show that for the whole world. And of course, we do hope that the situation in the Middle East could stabilize more and more, because the Middle East is the most rich,
the core of the world,
hub,
and
the markets, big markets of the whole world. It can be disturbed, the whole production in the whole world.
And it's Egypt's fate to be all the
Egypt
time the
is,
big sis, and to be all the time the core or the pillar of stability and peace.
One also very, I mean, attractive point for Egypt in the agriculture sector, that only in the last 10 days, 7 of the ministers of agriculture in Africa who was here in Egypt were hosted by the ARC, the Agricultural Research Center, and of course was invited by His Excellency Mr. Ala Farouk, the Minister of Agriculture, was coming here to take the experience of Egypt about production in the main strategic crops like the rice, like the
grains, all grains.
All of the 7 countries were here. Also, I met with the Minister of Agriculture of Mauritania.
To our brothers and
all of
our
them,
strategic allies in
trying
Africa.
to benefit from the success, because they always say that Egypt have fulfilled the requirements of their people, and now you are exporting more and more. Everybody, they see the figures that Egypt have reached about 9 million tons exports of fruits and vegetables, which is a very tangible movement, I think.
Engineer Mostafa Nagary, thank you very much for your input, sir.
Thank you so much, Nimi. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Well, by this we come to the end of our episode. Stay tuned on Nile TV International always for more. Now I'm going to leave you with the most important economic events which took place in the past 7 days. Then we'll meet again, same time on Nile TV International. Many thanks for watching. This was Nurmeen Abdurrahman.
Minister of Planning Rania Al-Mashat said during the IMF and World Bank annual meetings in Washington that Egypt has outlined its new economic reform program, Egypt's narrative for economic development, which focuses on the real economy and empowering the private sector. In a statement at the Intergovernmental Group of 24, the G24 ministerial meetings, Minister Al-Mashat said the new narrative is a continuation of the economic reform path and aims to capitalize on advanced infrastructure to focus on productive sectors. Egypt and India took a major step toward deepening their economic partnership by agreeing to establish an Egypt-India joint business chamber to expand bilateral trade and industrial cooperation. The agreement was reached during a meeting in New Delhi between Egyptian Minister of Foreign Affairs Badr Abdulati and leaders of India's top business federation and major industrial companies. The meeting focused on attracting new investments and strengthening Egypt's role as a gateway to global markets. Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, Dr. Ayman Ashur, witnessed the 10th session of the Egyptian-Chinese Joint Committee on Scientific and Technological Cooperation. co-chaired by Deputy Minister for Innovation, AI and Scientific Research, Dr. Hussam Othman, and China's Vice Minister of Science and Technology, Long Teng. Dr. Ashur emphasized the depth of Egyptian-Chinese relations, describing China as a key partner in Egypt's higher education and scientific research, while Long Teng praised Egypt's progress in advancing education, innovation and entrepreneurship. Minister of Finance Ahmed Kochuk announced that Standard & Poor's decision to raise Egypt's credit rating from B- to B while maintaining a stable outlook marks a significant milestone that reflects renewed global confidence in the country's economic trajectory after 7 consecutive years of stagnation or downgrades. In an interview with the Cabinet's Information and Decision Support Center, the IDSC, Kochuk explained that the upgrade underscores an objective assessment by international institutions of Egypt's resilient and diversified economic performance. He noted that the decision will help reduce borrowing costs for government entities, create better financial conditions for citizens and businesses alike, and strengthen investor confidence, paving the way for increased capital inflows. As part of efforts to enhance Egypt's presence in international economic forums, the Egyptian Commercial Service, ECS, participated in the Women 20 W20 Summit held in Johannesburg from October 12th to 14th, 2025. The summit, one of the official engagement groups of the G20, chaired this year by South Africa, aims to promote gender equality and women's economic empowerment through policy recommendations presented to G20 leaders.